Man demands woman gives him money, but doesn't realise the Marines are next door. In just a second, two men had encircled her car. She was so confused as to what had happened that she reacted to it a little too late. Yet Ethel was determined to fight until she couldn't do so anymore. She put the car in reverse and drove speedily up the curb. She made sure to blow her horn consistently. The men's boots could be heard as she heard them on the tarmac looking for her. She never thought she would find herself in such a situation. Greetings and welcome back to our channel. In today's video, I give you the story of a courageous old woman who found herself in a bit of trouble. Please subscribe to our channel. Also, press the alarm bell to stay updated on our posts. Thank you. Ethel was a 60-year-old and a resident of Linwood and currently walking in the mall. She sped up in the mall a little more. She was walking fast. With her head bowed down, she walked past all the displays in the windows without even glancing at them. That afternoon, the mall was filled with young people shopping like a force on a mission. She headed straight to the parallel vision optometrist, unworried about the conversations and shopping going on around her. Compared to other 60-year-olds, Ethel was in better shape. But these past few weeks she had noticed that the blurry clouds around her eyes were growing bigger and bigger each day. Frankly, her vision is not what it used to be. She was so busy thinking that she missed the scary looks that the two men were giving her. When she rounded the corner, she saw the sign of the eye specialist and let out a sigh of relief. After greeting each other and letting the specialist know her situation, she was directed to sit in the patient's chair. Ethel quickly did as she was instructed and looked into the auto-refractors, which felt cold on her forehead. She was waiting patiently, a bit nervous for the doctor to give the diagnosis. When she looked at the doctor, he looked calm, so she was able to relax as well. The doctor prescribed stronger lenses and asked her to come back for them in a few days. Ethel thanked the doctor and walked back to her car. She didn't know that she had become a target for some people. Sadly, older people are often targets of horrendous crimes because they are much more vulnerable and cannot put up a fight. Ethel checked all the boxes for being a target. She was old and alone. They thought they would have their way easily because of her age. They were wrong. They followed her at a distance. They did not want her to see them, but they also didn't want to lose her. Ethel was out of breath when she made her way to her car. She scolds herself for parking so far away from the entrance. She would make sure to park closer next time. She was happy she'd been able to achieve what she had planned to do. It was already getting late and the parking lot was almost empty. Both Ethel and the criminals noticed that. When she reached her car, she opened it and sat down for a minute, taking some time to catch her breath. She then secured herself in the seat with the safety belt and made a move to close the car door. However, before she could lock the door, the two men were already surrounding her car. One of them was forcibly trying to keep the door open while the other was trying to snatch her handbag, which was still on her shoulder. Even in that chaotic moment, Ethel was able to see that one of the men was keeping something under his shirt. The man kept pulling at her bag, but Ethel had decided not to let go. However unwise that decision was, Ethel was sad at the thought of losing all and everything in her bags. She had credit cards, her social security cards, an amount of cash, and some notes from her grandchildren. Ethel pulled her bag with all her might and freed it from the grasp and used one arm to close the door. There was no way they were going to allow her to get away with that. One of them showed her his gun through the window, but Ethel did not care. Ethel was determined to make it out alive and with the things that she valued intact. She put her car in reverse and put the foot down flat. One of the criminals had taken a new position. He was now in front of the car. Ethel quickly decided on what to do. The other man ran around and came to the side of the car so he could try and open the door. Both of them could see the sheer will all over her face. Ethel started honking continuously. She was hoping people nearby would hear it and at least want to see what was going on. After honking for a while, Ethel pushed the gear lever into drive and started driving towards the larger thug in front of her car. When he saw what was happening, he quickly got out of the way. Ethel ascended the curb with her car. She was going to teach them a big lesson, one they would never forget. She effortlessly turned the car on two tires and headed for the second man, cutting him off. The two criminals knew they'd made a big mistake when they saw some men in uniforms running towards them. They went very pale. All they had thought about in those moments was the robbing of Ethel. If they'd paid a little more attention to their surroundings, they would have noticed what was clearly in their sight. When the Marines stepped out of the door, the two criminals were visibly shaken. They had really made a big mistake. Sergeant Ricardo, Staff Sergeant Brighton Twigg, and Sergeant Ben Shoemaker were busy working in their office in the Armed Forces Career Centre when they heard some loud noises outside. They wasted no time in walking out to see what the noises were. They were smartly dressed in their blue uniforms and ready for action. They were truly looking stern in their uniforms. The trio started running after the two thugs until 5 were on the road with lots of cars and traffic. Ethel warned the Marines that 2 men were armed, but they paid no heed. They had received enough training to know what to do in those circumstances. One of the Marines, Ben Shoemaker, took after one of the criminals. They were no match for him. When later asked why he had done that, he said, "The kid could never outrun me." Marines run towards the sound of chaos. Ben was finally able to reach the thug. When he had him, the Marines' training instinctively kicked in. He grabbed him by the wrist and used a martial arts training with a wrist-locking technique to disable him temporarily. Ben said, "My first thought was we're on the grass and I'm going to tackle him first." He didn't even give it much thought until he realised he'd already done it. Ben stated at that time he wrist-locked someone ages ago when he was deployed in Iraq. The other 2 Marines did not have much luck with the other criminal as he was able to get away. Because of Shoemaker's experience, they at least got one of them and intended to keep him until the cops arrived to take him away. After that adrenaline had worn off, Shoemaker realised what he had just gone through. He said fear came later. At the time, I didn't give it much thought. Once I sat down, it was like, holy crap, it's different because I have a kid. That's all I kept thinking about. Going into combat, I didn't have one then. That's the first time I've actually felt whole. What if something happened? Ben had thought that the man had been armed and yet went after him quite bravely anyway. After a quick search, they saw that all he had was a metal baseball hidden in the back of his pants. The other criminal who got away was now a wanted person. The Marines are positive that the 2 men are still afraid after coming into contact with trained Marines. Since the incident, people have hailed Shoemaker for his heroic acts. He, together with the other 2 Marines, have been featured in papers and have also granted a couple of interviews to some press and TV stations. Major Sum Kim, their commanding officer, has also praised the officers for their actions. He said their actions were reflective of the courage and commitment that the Marine Corps comprise of. Even in the face of continuous praise, Shoemaker is still modest about his heroic actions. He said, "What are you supposed to do? That's what we're trained to do. I can't sit here and let it happen." However, the commanding officer had something different to say. He said they set a great example for their fellow Marines and especially the young ones who are studying to learn what it means to be a Marine. Speaking in an interview, Brighton said, "The response reminds all Marines that we have a responsibility to do the right thing, regardless of whether or not someone is watching. It's what we do. From the beginning, we are taught in boot camp, it all becomes part of us." His colleague Shoemaker agreed by saying, "It's really what I've been trained to do. My job is to protect the United States public." These criminals were not only unlucky for picking Ethel as a victim, but also unlucky for doing so in front of the Marine Corps office. This is the end of today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Please like and share the video with your friends and family, and thanks for watching. And we'll see you all next time.